So hello everybody. So thank you for being here. And also those of you who are online, welcome to this information session about the Masters of the Faculty of Informatics. This session, well, first of all, introduce myself. I'm Oscar Romero, the Vice Dean of Postgraduate Studies at the faculty. And this is a kind reminder that this is a session that will be recorded. So later we make this available online. But we are obliged to inform you that in case that you talk during this presentation, asking a question or activating your cam, you will be recorded. So please acknowledge this fact. So let's go direct to the main topic of today, which is the offer that the faculty has for the master level, for the master degrees. This is the index I will go through. First, I will talk about the faculty. I will give you some hints and numbers about it. And then later, I will focus on the masters. I will distinguish two kinds of masters, the core ones, which are MAI, MIRI, MDS, and MAI. Now I will be more specific about them. And I will briefly also mention three other masters that in which we participate, but as you will see, they work a bit different. So later I will talk also about the prices, because we are expecting changes about the price for the future in the masters. And other aspects related to the faculty and related aspects of the masters that might be interesting for you, like internships, mobility, grants, and financial aids, and also the research and innovation that's happening around the faculty. And also, last but not least, social life, right? The community in general. So let's start with the Faculty of Informatics, especially for those of you that do not know it. FIB stands for Facultat d'Informàtica de Barcelona and belongs to the Universitat Politècnica de Catalunya. So let's start introducing a bit UPC. UPC is a public higher education and research institution, so which is specialized in architecture and engineering. It's one of the leading technical universities in Europe, and every year we have more than 6,000 bachelor and master students and more than 500 doctoral students that graduate per year. So as a public institution, UPC has strong values in social responsibility, sustainability, equal opportunities, and cooperation and solidarity. And this is something that I would like always to remark, because it means that being a public institution, we don't have any superfluous or shallow interests, so just social good and trying to do our best. Also, because many times I get the question, what kind of criteria do we have for the admission of the masters, that I will discuss later, but we do not consider any other aspect, or we do not compromise at all equal opportunities. So we evaluate only curriculums and nothing else, okay? So UPC is a very large university. Some numbers here that I would like to highlight. So we have more than 23,000 bachelor students and more than 5,000 master students, more than 2,000 doctoral students. And in general, it's a very lively university in any aspect of architecture and engineering. Indeed, we have more than 60 bachelor degrees, 80 master programs, 40 doctoral programs, and continuing education programs in general. Something that I like to highlight about these numbers here, because it's something that I will insist during my presentation, is that we are a university with a very strong research and innovation perspective. This means that in our masters, we really stress this aspect. And this is shown because we, the lecturers, are typically researchers, and we participate in research projects. So just to put some numbers here, in 2020, we were raising more than 50 million euro in projects, research projects. And UPC is the leading university in Europe, and the leading, of course, also at the national level, raising funds from H2020 projects, which are the leading research projects in Europe. So another positive aspect about UPC that I will also go more into detail later, it's a university with a strong international vocation. So it means that mobility, you as students will have strong chances to move to another master degree, for example, as an Erasmus student or something like that, which is an interesting fact. In general, we have strong ties all over the world, as I will discuss later. So inside UPC, we are FIB, the Faculty of Informatics, which is pretty young compared to other faculties out there. So we are from the 76, is when it was conceived. so around 40 years, right? But in these 40 years, the faculty has become a referent faculty in computer science and technical engineering in these years at the national and the European level. No? The faculty sits in Barcelona. Barcelona is a small city compared to large cities like London or Paris, so even if you can see that this sign is somehow in the outskirts, you can get by metro to the city center in around 30 minutes. So the precise address is here. It's where we sit. And this is the contact information, our main website, and our main contact email in case you want to reach us for whatever question you may have, which is InfoMasters. Okay? On top of that, we are quite lively in the social networks, trying to promote all the community and what the things are happening around the faculty, so you may want also to follow us in any of them, which are listed here. So if I focus now in the mission of FIB, our main objective is to provide education in informatics engineering, right? And informatics engineering is nowadays more a kind of a means than an end by itself. So informatics is transversal to any other field, and what we promote in this faculty is how to maximize the impact of informatics in any field and how informatics can transform any of these fields, right, of application or domain, whatever you want to call it. The second thing that we also stress is that as a science, computer science has strong foundations that do not change much in time. No? What changes is that every time we have higher levels of abstraction on top of the foundations that facilitates tasks with new frameworks, new languages, whatever, right? But the foundations do not change much because a computer is a very limited machine with a very kind of setting, and at least until quantum computing is something, we are limited physically by that, and so there are some strong foundations that we cannot get rid of it. So what we prioritize in our masters is lasting concepts. So this means that what we are going to be provided with is strong fundamental concepts on which you will be easily be able to build afterwards your knowledge. So this means that with these strong foundations, you will also learn how to learn on your own and understand the principles of whatever other language or framework you find, just understanding the essence, no? The foundations of these new elements that may appear. So additionally, we also promote horizontal skills. So at the master level, you need to be endorsed with at least 3 of them, which I list here. The first one is effective working habits. It means that you not only need to be hardworking, but also be effective. Okay. The second thing is team working. In computer science and in general in all our masters, projects are large, and it means that when you are in the professional field, you will need to act as a team member. And finally, you need to learn how to be self-sufficient, because you will need to know how to be autonomous and learn on your own, no? Because in computer science, you never stop learning. What you learn and what you need to learn is these foundations that I was referring to, but then on top of that, you will continuously be building new frameworks, languages, or tools that will have a large impact in industry or in any organization. So one aspect that I also like to remark, because I think it's a good effort from our faculty, is that FIB endorsed with mechanisms to control the quality of our masters. No? And to do that, we implemented what is called an internal quality assurance system, that it's basically conducted by external, so third-party organizations that come, check how our masters work, and they just provide a label, right? So what is the quality of our masters? I think that this is a good effort of transparency from our faculty and a good aspect of it. And what I can tell you is that our 3 masters, May, MIRI, and MAI, have the maximum quality label, ACU Excellence, so which is the maximum level you can reach. MDS doesn't have it yet because it cannot be evaluated. It started in September 2021. So it's you need at least 5 years of the master going on to be evaluated and get this accreditation. However, MDS has another evidence of quality, and it's the local implementation of our Erasmus Mundus on Big Data Management and Analytics, which is certified by the European Education and Culture Executive Agency, which is an organism in the European Commission, which already certified this master as an excellence, and not only excellence, but as a referent master in data science in Europe. So what these quality agencies highlight about our masters? So basically 3 things. This is what they highlight in the reports. I just want to recall you that these reports come after interviewing mainly the students that are participating in the masters, the lecturers, and the staff of the faculty, so they just conduct surveys to everybody. So the first one is what the students appreciate more is the program learning outcomes. So what I was telling you, you will be learning very fundamental aspects, but then very applied. Our lecturers are researchers, so they are used to work in real projects and cutting-edge projects. So they also transmit or transfer this to their lectures. So you are going to be introduced in these aspects. The second thing is the quality of the teaching staff, because as I told you, most of them are researchers, and then this is clear when they lecture, no, with clear examples and application methods. And finally, the learning support services and resources that the faculty provides to the students during the master. So at this point, you may wonder why FIB is a good choice. Well, it's one of the top 10 computer science schools in Europe, and systematically is acknowledged as the best faculty in South Europe, right? We excel because of our resources, professors, and the experience on the products that we are offering. In many of the masters that we offer, we were pioneering, in not only in Spain, but also in Europe, or participating in pioneer initiatives. And as such, the faculty has been the spearheading faculty in Spain, no? So we have been always leading and opening the path, and nowadays, not only here, but also at the European level, is a reference institution, even though we are only 40 years old, so compared to other faculties, we are pretty young. Besides that, as I mentioned, we also have been evaluated quite highly from the quality certified external agencies. And as a student, we will have plenty of opportunities. This is something that I will start later in the discussion, giving more details. But the first thing is that we always endorse our students with the best knowledge, or the best fundamental knowledge, and the best application efforts in any of the fields that we tackle. The second thing is that mobility is something pretty easy to achieve at FIB. We have very strong connections with faculties all over the world. So you may want to do a semester or even 2 semesters, depending on the master, and study abroad, which is something interesting. In this sense, a double master degree is a kind of a mobility, but the only thing is when you move to the other institution, you need to spend some time, more time than just 1 semester, but then the idea is that then you get the degree from FIB, but also the degree from the other university. So you end up with 2 master degrees. It's pretty usual that our students do internships, work during the masters, or even do the master thesis in a company. This is pretty usual. Indeed, we have the means to do what we call Convenis Colaboració Empresa, Universitat Empresa, which is basically the legal framework that the faculty has to let you go to a company and work with a safeguard. We are very international in this sense. Our masters are pretty international, and that's why this talk is in English, and most of our masters are in English, because our kind of a student is worldwide. You can also take advantage of the research orientation of our masters, and this means that during the period that you might be studying with us, you can work as a researcher in our research centers. There are plenty of opportunities I will discuss later. And last but not least, again, we have a strong community that is doing things all the time, no? Participating, organizing events, things like that. HACUPC just happened this last week, no? And things like that are happening all the time, no? And it's worth that you know it and participate. From the professional point of view, no? From the professional point of view, what companies highly appreciate about our alumni is basically that they are endorsed with strong technical skills, and then when they reach the companies, they do not have a regular position. Typically, they have positions related with innovation, research, or high-level positions of management. Being an entrepreneur or a researcher is something that you will have in your DNA after our masters, because this is all over the time. And then somehow companies appreciate that when you reach there and when you go there, one of the things that you may also bring to them is this new view of things that might impact or have an impact in their processes, in their day processes. We also endorse you with additional skills that are horizontal skills that might be team working and all these kind of things. And finally, last and not least, again, we are very proud of being the faculty with the least unemployed rate in Spain, and the computer science and our masters, we are practically 100% graduate employment, which is really something. Okay. So the FIB in numbers, it's a large faculty by itself as well. We have more than 2,000 students, and every year we graduate more than 400. And we account for 3 bachelors and 7 masters. Here again, I also like to include the international partnership, because we have partnerships with 238 universities in 43 countries, and this is allowing you to do mobility pretty easy, no? Indeed, anywhere in the world. Last thing I want to, just to conclude this thing about the faculty, is that, again, using external indicators, there are these indicators that you may have heard of them, which are the international rankings that some organizations create just to evaluate how high some faculties score. So I chose most probably the 3 most popular ones, and the 3 of them, FIP is systematically the best faculty in computer science in Spain, and depending on the ranking, we sit in front of the top 50 worldwide or top 100, which I think this is really something, because here you just realize that a public institution competing with the private universities from the States or the UK, right? So this is a very good position we hold in these rankings. So after this introduction about FIP and what it can provide by itself as an institution, let's go for the masters, and I will go just over them, the main ones. Again, as I told you here, I will go by MAI, MIRI, MDS, and MAI with more detail, and then later I will also mention some others where we participate. So this is what the acronyms mean. So they are sorted just by alphabetical order. So the first one is the Master in Artificial Intelligence. Then we have the Master in Informatics Engineering, which has an industrial modality I will discuss later. The next one is the Master in Innovation and Research in Informatics, as its title says, right? It has a very strong connotation in innovation and research. The Master in Data Science, and then the last 3 that I will briefly go through is the Màster per al Professorat de Secundària, the Erasmus Mundus Master in Big Data Management Analytics, and the European Master in High Performance Computing. So if you want to know more about the masters, you can click on this link, but nevertheless, I will be going through them. So there are specific sessions for the masters, all of them already passed, but the thing is that we were recording all these sessions. So if you are interested in any of these masters and what we were discussing during these sessions, please check the website, because not for all of them, right? So we need to still put, because our intensive information week was last week, so still we are processing the videos in some of the cases. But in the next week, probably they will be online, so you will have a link to YouTube to see the recorded video and also the slides, okay, for the specific masters. Today I'm going to just go through all of them and just stay a bit more shallow, but if you have questions, of course, I will be happy to answer them. Before going into detail, I would like to explain you how to navigate our websites to find more information, because they are pretty detailed. Okay, in the websites you can find almost all the information. The main one for the information aspects is masters.fib.upc.edu, and here what you have is information, more overall information from the city of Barcelona, international prestige of the faculty, and then what is each master, curriculum, employment opportunities, and so on and so forth. Okay. But sometimes it's interesting that you check the specific details per master. No? This is in our main day-by-day website, which is fib.upc.edu. And here you will find details about the day-by-day of the master. So for example, the academic regulations, the timetables and exams, and detailed curriculum and syllabus of the courses. So it's worth you know it and you check it as well. If you want to know about the administrative procedures that regulate our masters, it's also public. And finally, the academic calendars. For those of you that are maybe not that familiar with FIB, our calendars have something pretty specific of our faculties, that we start very early in September, typically, compared to other universities. But then the good thing is that we stop the lectures right before Christmas. Then we have the exams after Christmas. Then we have a break before starting the second semester, which is good to hygienize your mind before starting again, no? And then we go from February till June, basically, with the exams. All the details are there, and you can check. So this is a snapshot of masters.fib.upc.edu, and then all the masters you can find here. And then you have here the general information. We are almost done with them, because after 2 days, there will be only one missing. And then you have all the specific ones as well. But anyhow, in this website, when going into the masters, you will also find the slides and recorded videos from the previous presentations, okay? What if you are interested in a master at faculty? This is a procedure you need to follow, okay? This procedure is common for all UPC. It's not specific for FIB, right? It's 6 steps. So the first step is to register. You need to enter your personal and academic details, and I will show you later where to start doing that. Then when you have just registered all your information, the next thing is to pay €30. It's a tax, and at that moment, when you pay this tax, your application is sent to the admission commission of the master that you applied for, okay? The commission checks your application and makes a decision, okay? So then you need to go, you receive an email, but anyway, if you go to the application, you will find there your decision. And importantly, you need to explicitly accept the position in the master, okay? Because as I will explain in a bit while, some of our masters have a waiting list. So if you don't accept the position, we will just offer it to the next one in the waiting list if you don't react in a few days, okay? So remember to really accept the place, just checking yes in the website, okay? The next thing is to secure your seat in September. How to do that? It's paying €300, that these €300 will be deducted from your first registration, okay? The enrollment, the formal enrollment is the last step, is number 6, okay? But you need to advance €300 just to secure your position. Why do we do that? Because our masters are quite demanded, and the thing is that if we want that someone is saying, yes, I'm going to attend, for sure this person is going to attend, because if this person declines very late, then we cannot reach to someone in the waiting list, someone is missing an opportunity, and we don't want that, okay? So if someone is really decided to take the master, pays the €300, and then the enrollment, this is deducted. When is enrollment happening? This year is going to happen the last week of July, okay? So before going on holidays, you will be already enrolled, most probably, okay? So for the pre-enrollment is the first step. So when you register your information, the deadline is 27th of May. We also divide this period in 2 admission periods. It means that people who applied before the 22nd of April, we answered last week or this week in some cases if they were accepted or not in the master, okay? Don't worry about that, because we always keep positions for the second. It's not that we already put some master complete. No, we don't do that. We always keep positions for the second period, okay? Whose deadline is the 27th of May, and then you will tentatively know if you are accepted in the master by 3rd of June. Okay? So we try to do it pretty early so you can plan ahead, which I think is essential, no, when you are going to start the master. So in some cases, if there are still seats available, that sometimes happens for some of the masters, we open a 3rd period, which the tentative deadline is the 13th of June, and then you are tentatively notified by 7th of July, okay? An important thing of the Masters FIB UPC website is the admission criteria. It's important when you are filling all the documents that you need to do for the pre-enrollment that you check the master's information, check the admission, and what the commission is going to appreciate from you, right? This is something I will discuss later, but one typical misleading argument that I receive is that only marks matter, and marks obviously matter, right? So we want the students with good marks, but we want also students that add value to the master. So in general, just think that the master, it's a bit different to the bachelor, because you kind of coexist with the same people in most of the courses, right? So what you generate is a cohort of people that are coexisting for a while, for at least the first year, typically, right? So what are we looking for? We are looking for diversity there. We look for different kinds of people that might provide different kinds of value. So we don't want a kind of a person and we look for clones. We don't look for that, okay? So there are many different ways you can add value to the cohort. Just check the admission criteria, even if I will discuss later a bit what kind of things the commissions look for. So for the pre-enrollment, you need to go to the masters.fib.upc.edu, click on the master that you prefer, and then if you scroll down, you will get to this snapshot here. Just click on the blue button and you start the pre-enrollment, the first step of the 6 in the process to enroll, okay? So there you need to enter your data, your personal data, your academic data, and then when you pay the tax, you will be automatically sent to the commission that will start checking your application. One thing about the interface of this website, because this is a recurrent question we get, the button to pay the tax does not appear until you introduce all the information that you are required, okay? So it's not a bug, it's a feature, okay? So in the sense that you need to really introduce all the information, otherwise the button does not appear. Since this procedure is the same for all the UPC masters, you have here a link where all the details of this procedure is pretty well explained, but I mean, it's pretty simple. You click on this button, you go to a website, just introduce your information, choose the master, and that's it. So what the academic commission may be the outcome that gives you, right? So we have different kinds of outcomes. Let's avoid the first period because already passed, right? And you will not receive this kind of answer. So the kind of answer you may get is accept, waiting list, or reject, okay? So the semantics are explained in the rest of the slide, but let me briefly mention it. Accept is, okay, clearly, no? Accept, welcome, you are part of FIB if you want, and then you are accepted in a master. So when you are accepted, then you will get duly notified how to make the payment of 300 euros to guarantee your seat, and then also inform how to do the first enrollment in the master. It's typically like in the bachelor, right? You choose the courses that you are going to take next semester. If we place you in the waiting list, it means that there were more people applying to this master that were accepted than available seats. So what we do is create a waiting list right after the accepted people. The question that typically get here is how easy is that a position gets to you. It depends on the master again, okay? But I can tell you that systematically 5 to 10% of people accepted drops out. Okay, so this means that we always go to the waiting list. And this is one of the reasons why we notify you the 3rd of June, because we will expect people who were accepted to accept the position during the next week. And if they don't accept it during the next week, we go to the waiting list. So by mid or by the latest, by the end of June, you will know if the position reaches to you, okay? And reject, we keep this meaning or this semantics only for when your background is not good for the master. So when we see that you may struggle or may have problems following that master, okay? Otherwise, you are at least placed in the waiting list. So let's go for the masters now, no? That I explained the overall procedure and how they work. Let's go for the first one, which is the Master in Informatics Engineering. This is the master that will equip you with a wide spectrum of how you can have a large impact in the companies or organizations with cutting-edge technologies or related with informatics. So if you allow me to use this intuition, is a master in the width, right? You are introduced to many different aspects like artificial intelligence, data science, distributed systems, whatever, right? And then in each of these courses, what you are going to be introduced is what is this topic, how this can be impacting on a company, right? This degree is equivalent to the former engineer in Informatica. So before Bologna, I guess that you were aware that the bachelors were 5 years long. So when you take this master after your bachelor in informatics, the equivalent title that you get is the one to the old engineer in informatica. Also, this is the only master in informatics that is kind of habilitant, okay? But be careful with this, because unfortunately, informatics is yet not a regulated profession, like would be an architect or an industrial engineer, right? The faculty, like many other faculties in computer science, we are fighting for it, no? I think it's important, like any other science, that informatics is regulated, but for now, it's not fully regulated. We have this kind of pseudo thing that we are coexisting with, and this would be the equivalent master in any case, okay? This master has two maximum levels, labels of quality from Equine, which is the European organization, ACU Excellence, the local one, and this master is taught in Spanish and Catalan. This is our only master not taught in English, okay? It's the only one. It's 90 CTS, so 1.5 years, and this is a master that is meant for students who took the Bachelor in Informatics and want to just get ready to take a position of relevance in a company, to lead projects, to lead teams, and to bring innovation and research into the company, okay? As such, it has a strong professional orientation, and the ECTS are divided like it follows. So 45 are compulsory, and from these 45 compulsory ECTS, you need to take 36 are technical, so computer science, and 9 of them are about management. This is because of the strong professional orientation. So here in these now 9 credits of management, you are introduced to things like team management, entrepreneurship, how to evaluate from a business perspective and a project in computer science, and these kind of things, right? Then you have 15 ECTS where you can specialize in whatever you like. Okay, so you will see now, I will show you a bit what MAE provides, but then you can decide to go deeper, I don't know, learn a bit more in distributed systems or in data science or artificial intelligence, whatever, right? And finally, you have 30 ECTS in the master thesis. Also, in the elective courses, you may also take ECTS on management, okay? And the last two things are also important, because this master is pretty much expected that you most probably will start working during the master, or being in a company, or doing an internship, or something like that. So this master acknowledges industrial agreements, and you have many different ways to do that. The first one is with curricular internships. It means that you can sign an internship that I will explain in a while how to do it via the CCEs, that is the regular way in the faculty. Then you are doing the internship at the company, right? And you can claim ECTS, elective ECTS, for this work during the internship. You can also claim elective ECTS from your professional experience. So if you have a working contract and you are already working, you can also claim ECTS, and I will explain in a while how. And finally, even if this is thought for people who took a bachelor in informatics, we acknowledge that there are many other bachelors nowadays that are kind of similar or likewise, no, to computer science. So what happens in these bachelors, that they may have a gap in some relevant aspect from computer science. So these masters also considerates that in case that you have a gap, that you are missing some important prerequisite, you are not directly rejected. So the commission may ask you to take some additional complementary courses, we call them, before during the master, so that you complement your profile, okay? For each slide, you will see that at the end I put here the link to the master. So this will bring you to the master's website. So let me take this one as an example. So in the website from masters, the structure is always the same. So you will have a presentation, a briefly presentation telling you the main objective of the master, what is the language of instruction, the workloads, and so on and so forth. But now I will focus here in the curriculum. Nevertheless, focus here in what I said before. Here there is that mission. Always check what that mission is going to be checking, okay? Because try to make your application appealing for the commission, trying to cover all aspects. Do not focus only on marks, okay? We check more things than just marks. So this is the curriculum, right? So here you have mandatory courses in this orange, red, or oranges, I don't know how to call it, this color, and then blue, right? So the thing is that we divided here in the website direction and management. This is because, as I told you, this is very much oriented to the strong professional orientation. So the two courses that are mandatory you need to take, for example, here is Viability of Innovative Business Projects. What happens in this course is that they provide you with the means to assess the quality of a project and its viability from a business perspective, of a computer science project, of course. And the second thing is that if you are going to have a relevant position in a company and deciding the strategy of the technologies and the systems to be created in this company, then it's important also to have an overview how to do the IT governance and the strategic planning of the systems of a company, right? This is, again, not pure computer science, it's more related to management. You have also other additional courses in management that you may take as an elective as part of the 12 ECTS that you have an electives of financing for innovative business projects, embodying the know-how into the decision process, sustainability, economics and social commitment, and quality aspects. About the information technology modules, realize that here is where May goes in the width, because basically in May what you do is, instead of specializing on something very deep, what you do is just to learn a bit of everything and how this can impact on the company. So you have a course on high performance computing, information systems and how to develop and manage them, internet security, these kind of things that are nowadays so important, no? Like cybersecurity and things like that. Graphics, because well, we typically think of graphics like video games, but graphics nowadays can be used in the companies just to improve the experience of the client or the customer, or you can have a mirror that is able just to allow you to prove or see how the clothes fit you without really putting them on, right? Embedded and ubiquitous systems, as again another hot topic, and computing and intelligent systems. But then you can specialize, and you see that there is a very large pool of elective courses that you may want to go for: digital identity, Internet of Things, cloud computing, so on and so forth. Okay, so there are quite a lot of things here. And here is where you decide if you want to go deeper into, I don't know, data science with data mining techniques, or going to embedded systems and ubiquitous systems, going to Internet of Things, or computer games could be in the line of graphics, right? So you have the right at the end to decide how you are going to specialize. And finally, the master thesis of 30 CTS. In almost all our masters, the master thesis is always 30 CTS, because the master thesis is always something important. It's when you just prove that you can put to practice all what you learn during the master, so they are pretty large. So May has an important thing that many of our students consider, you may want to be aware of it. It's called an industrial modality. This modality is still May, exactly May, okay? The only thing is that this is thought to concile working with studying, okay? So basically if you take this, what you are going to do is an intensive training in the academic and professional path at the same time, okay? And of course here we are expecting you to focus on project management and team leadership, because you are strongly focused on companies, right? This modality stretches, and instead of being 1.5 years, it's 2 years, so 4 semesters. But what is the benefit? That the time that you need to devote to the lectures or to the courses is 4 or 5 hours per day. And out of these 4 or 5 hours that you take per day, we only ask you to come to the faculty 3 days per week. So we have a compact schedule, so that the courses that you take in this modality are guaranteed to be between 2 to 8 p.m. in the afternoons, so you can work in the mornings. Realize that there are 2 more afternoons that are not holidays, and not it's supposed to be the work of the courses, but at home, okay? Labs, practices, exercises, whatever, okay? So you are still meant to work half a day, but only coming 3 of them to the faculty. So this is just to facilitate very much this path, because this is a very common path that our students are following, so we develop this modality with this spirit. You have here the link that you may want to check in detail the industrial modality, but let me summarize it here. So what is the difference between the regular and this modality meant for enterprise, right, or in the organization? If you follow the regular one, you take 30 ECTS per semester, so you are done in 3 semesters. Okay, the last one for the master thesis, the other 2 for the courses that you are mandatory ones and the elective courses that you choose to take. If you go to Modalidad Empresa, the modality in the companies, realize what is happening here. You take some courses and we spread them out a bit more through 3 semesters, but then we are expecting you to be either working with a regular working contract that you would like to have with a company, or if you want, with an internship following the regulations of the faculty. Okay, I will explain later how these regulations exactly work. This is what I mean by CCE. Okay, it's un conveni col·laboració universitat-empresa. Okay, so with this, either you are doing internships or you are working. What you are going to do with this time at the companies, claim elective ECTS from them. Okay, and of course the master thesis, we are going to expect you to do it in the company. In our jargon, this is modality B or D. B means master thesis in the company, D means master thesis in a company abroad. So you go out of the country, okay? So in the industrial modality, realize that this part here, this column here, these courses that I'm listing here, they add up to 48 ECTS. Where do the other 42 ECTS you need to finish the master come from? From the other column and the master thesis. So the master thesis, remember, is 30 ECTS, and then the other 12 are just elective credits that you call from your internship or from your working contract. And this is allowed. You can claim up to 12 elective credits like that, okay? So that's how the other 42 come from, okay? And the thumb rule that I will discuss later is that 25 hours of work at the company is equivalent to 1 ECTS, okay? But I will give you the numbers later about how to do this. So in the end, you get the 90 ECTS, but spread out in 4 semesters, so you can work part-time during all this time without any problem, okay? The next master I'm going to discuss is the Master in Innovation and Research in Informatics. This master goes very deep. It's all the opposite to MA, no? Goes very deep in some fields of computer science. So it's a master thought to either go later for a PhD or a research department in a company, like the top companies that you may come from, Google or whatever, they have research departments, but to do research more than regular work in a company or similar stuff, okay? So we have 4 fields that we cover in this master: advanced computing, computer graphics and virtual reality, computer networks and distributed systems, and finally high-performance computing, okay? I will explain them in a while. But basically, this master, again, like May, has the maximum quality labels, so from Equine and Aku Excellence, and this one is taught in English, so you need to show proficiency in B2 to access this master. Okay. This is a 2-year master, 120 ECTS, with 30 common compulsory ECTS. These 30 are common to whatever specialization you take. And be careful with that. In this master, when you enroll, when you just start doing the procedure to do the application, you need to choose the specialization. You do not specialize during the master, but before starting, okay, you choose it. But regardless of the specialization you choose, there are 30 ECTS that are common. Why? Because this is very focused on innovation and research, so there are certain things related to research that is the same regardless of the field or the area. What I'm talking here about, preparing experiments, how to follow properly a scientific procedure, no, and be formal from that. So these are generic things that do not depend if you are in graphics or advanced computing. So these are the 30 common ECTS that you typically start with, and then the 48 of the specialization depend on the specialization you choose, and here you go deep in that topic. At the end, you have also 12 elective ECTS and the master thesis of 30 ECTS at the end. So what are the 4 specializations? You have the links here and you can follow them, but let me briefly explain what they are. Advanced computing is when you are focusing on that kind of computer science problems that they have a high computational complexity. So So you may be familiar with the computational complexity and knowing that there are problems that are NP-complete or even harder, right? So these kind of problems require smarter techniques, because typically you cannot apply brute force and explore the search space or try to solve it just by generating all the combinations or something like that. You need smart ways to identify promising paths to explore, right? So in this specialization, you are introduced to techniques that allow you to tackle these very complex problems. And what I'm talking about, there are plenty of these problems that happen every day, right? So if you think how to generate the fixtures of a football league, this is very complex, right? Because every day of competition, you need to face someone who you didn't face before, but you need to face it twice, one at home and one abroad, but then everybody needs to play every week, right? So these constraints are quite hard to manage, and if you try to do the effort on your own, it's not easy at all to find a solution, no? Another example would be whatever happens with logistics, no, in all these Amazon or these companies that need to deliver. So if you have endpoints in the city that you need to visit to just bring whatever this person bought, you need to find which is the optimal order. So in which order you need to follow so that you minimize the time that the truck is in the road, right? So for doing that, you can apply things like graph theory and minimizing the path that you are following, what is called the shortest path, and this kind of techniques that are very specialized but are well known to work and solve this kind of hard problems, okay? The second one is graphics, and as I said, graphics is not only about video games, even if there is a fair share of video games also participating here, but they are very much into virtual reality. So one thing that is very interesting about this specialization now due to the pandemic is that there are now a lot of museums or monuments all over the world that they are creating 3D experiences just to visit the monument and historical places from home. And then they are developing a lot of projects in this sense. Avatars to personalize the experience of a customer in a company, and so on and so forth. The third one is about the impact of distributed systems. So this is huge nowadays as well. If you think, for example, of 5G, that now has completely transformed, no, how the communications work with mobiles. These kind of networks are very complex networks that are meant to combine or connect billions of devices, no? So how to develop new efforts or new protocols that are able to be sustainable or scale up with so many elements there. How to take benefit of these distributed settings. So if I have billions of computing capacity here and there, how can I use it? This is, maybe you have heard of fog computing and these kind of things. So there are a lot of opportunities around it, also from IoT and all these kind of devices that can be distributed. And the last one is high performance computing. So there are some problems that even if we know that they are hard, it's not easy to find an easy way to tackle them. So the only way to tackle them is with muscle, with a lot of computing power. And here is where the supercomputing comes into place, right? So this is very much related with the Barcelona Supercomputing Center and developing new kind of architectures and new kind of elements that might allow to break this limit of computation that we have, no, for some kind of problems. Here I'm talking about very, very complex problems, like identifying what is the pattern of cells that might let you know that there is a probability to have cancer, or astrophysics, how to analyze all the elements that you can find in a picture of the space, right? Things like that that are extremely complex processes that require a lot of computing. And finally, another interesting thing about MIRI is, like in May, you can go for industrial agreements. So you can do internships and work during the master and claim for elective ECTS during the master as elective ECTS. Similar to May, if you have a gap in your bachelor that might be needed to follow any of these, you might be also asked to follow some complementary courses before during the master, not before, during the master. The third one that I'm going to talk is the Master in Data Science. So data science is nowadays one of the big things that the European Union has been claiming for. Indeed, the European Union has a strategy that is called the data science market, or the data market, which basically means that the companies should be transforming themselves into data-oriented analysis so that they can gather data, analyze it, and then make objective or informed decisions based on this data. So the masters in data science are known to be multidisciplinary. This means that this master is not only about analytics, which is, of course is an important part of it, but also in data management. This means that in this master you are also taught how to create very complex data ecosystems. So this means that you should be able to implement the whole data life cycle and put it in production in a real company or a real setting, and then how to do data analysis from the data that you are ingesting and gathering into the company. Importantly, in our master, we distinguish two kinds of families of data analysis: data mining and machine learning, which basically, if you allow me to go for the intuition, data mining is a statistical point of view of the data analysis from what a statistician would do, while machine learning is closer to computer science. No, it's more about the algorithmics and how to make efficient this kind of algorithms. Importantly, this master has been accredited by the EACA, which is a European Commission agency, and this agency gave the excellence quality. This master is not accredited by the other quality centers because it was put into place here in September 2021. Before that, it was a specialization of MIRI, the Master in Data Science here at faculty. But since 2021, this is a master by itself, and therefore it's aligned with the, I will explain it later, the Big Data Management master. This master is taught in English, and it's 120 ECTS, so 54 compulsory ECTS, where here we have basically fundamentals on data science, data management, and data analysis. And then we have 36 among 3 blocks, which are the ones listed here. You can choose to specialize how to do data science in a certain domain, like bioinformatics, health, transportation, things like that. Also, how to acknowledge the innovation and research aspect of data science, because in data science you really need to be innovative when doing a project, because you need to be different to the others when you are doing these kind of projects, right? So how to assess it from an innovation or research perspective. And finally, another block that typically our students like is go very deep into knowing more specific techniques of data science, like, for example, Bayesian networks, or trying to know more about advanced machine learning techniques like deep learning, things like that. This master is the only one that does not account the internships as curricular. It means that you cannot claim for elective ECTS in this master. You can do the internship, but you cannot claim for ECTS for this. The only option to claim for ECTS in this master is during the master thesis. That's fine. During the master thesis, you can take this internship and claim for the ECTS. And this master also do not consider complementary courses. The next one is MIRI, which is the Master in Artificial Intelligence. This master focuses on artificial intelligence, which is a broad field, even if it's pretty trendy nowadays. It's an old field that has been around since the 70s, right? So again, this master, like MAI and MIRI, has the accreditations from ACU Excellence and ACU Internationalization. The maximum one is taught in English, and it's 90 ECTS, so 1.5 years. This master is an inter-universitary master. What does it mean? This master takes place at UPC, at UB, Universitat de Barcelona, and Universitat Rovira i Virgili, URB. Okay? So please acknowledge that 1 day per week you need to move to Tarragona because lectures happen there. Okay? And this is important to be aware of this detail. Okay? This is duly informed in our website, but just taking advantage to say it. So basically, the workload is equally distributed between the three universities. You take 1/3 at UPC, 1/3 at UB, 1/3 at URB, even if this is a bit changed depending on the elective courses you may take, okay? But this master has 30 mandatory courses, 42 electives, which is you specialize on an intensification. And unlike the other masters, this has a smaller master thesis, only 18 ECTS, okay, which is roughly half of the other ones. The 7 intensifications are here, right? So we have data science and computational intelligence, multi-agent systems, human-computer interaction, hot topics in professional practice, knowledge engineering and machine learning, modeling, reasoning, problem solving, vision, perception, and robotics, which will be all the things related with computer vision, right? So you can specialize in one or another depending on what you are interested more. And finally, this master also considers industrial agreements, so curricular internships, or you can claim for ECTS for your professional experience. Again, complementary courses might be considered. So I finished with the main masters. Now, just briefly talking about the other masters that might be interesting for you. There is one that is called Màster per al Professorat de Secundària. This is a very specific local master that maybe if you are not local might not be that aware of what it is, but basically to be a lecturer in a high school, you need to have this master, right? And this is a master that is taught in Catalan or Spanish, even though to enter the master, you need to acknowledge a third language with a level of P1, okay? And this is face-to-face, but we focus on 2 specializations. We don't do the Master of Secundària of any kind. We focus on technologies, either for Formació Professional or for ESO and Bachelor. This is a truly habilitant master because you need this master to lecture at the high school level, and it's a year master, so 60 CTS. Although here we also acknowledge a slow track, similar to the industrial modality from May, where just you take less ECTS per courses, and then you may need an additional semester. And as part of it, you have the practicum, which is when you do practices in an institute. This master is not a properly owned master by the faculty, so if you want to apply to this, you should not follow the rules that I said before. You need to do it through this link here, okay? And the dates are very different as well. So the pre-registration happens between July and September via what is called the University Access Portal, which is this link here, okay? So there are information sessions as well, usually in July and September. So this is kind of a master on its own and different to the rest of the masters in the faculty. The other 2 masters that are missing are European masters. So as I told you, our faculty is a reference faculty in Europe, and then we typically participate in leading initiatives to create the reference master in Europe on certain topics. So we participate nowadays in 2 of them. The first one is in this one, Big Data Management and Analytics. This master is fully aligned with our local master on data science. Indeed, during the second semester of the BDMA and MDS students are together in the same lectures, okay? So it's exactly the same courses and lectures. But this one is a master with a strong mobility because the first semester happens at the University Libre de Brussels, the second one happens here at UPC, and then for the third semester you need to choose between University of Padova, University of Eindhoven, and Paris-Saclay in France, okay? This is the flagship master in Big Data and Data Science of Europe, and acknowledged as such. So this is accredited by the European Commission and has a self-funded period from March to June because they also have grants that you can apply, but for this year they are already passed. Okay, so if you want to apply to the grants of BDMA, you need to do it from September to December to start the other September. Okay, they are very early, very early. This is set by the European Union. But still, if you are interested, you can apply as a self-funded from March to June. This is a 120 ECTS master, so 2 years with 60 compulsory courses, which is the whole first year. And then during the third semester, you specialize depending on the university you take. And the fourth one is devoted to the master thesis. So this one has heavy mobility. So the first semester is in Brussels. The second one is in Barcelona. Then all the students move to the summer school, which is mandatory, and this happens anywhere in Europe, depends on the year. Then the third semester starting in September in Dublin, Paris, or Padova, and the fourth semester can be again anywhere in these partners or in any of our associated partners during the fourth semester. The final event is when we have a ceremony where the master thesis defense happens and the graduation happens. If you want to apply, again, you should not do it through the UPC portal. You need to do it through this link because this is a European consortium that goes beyond FIB. Okay. And the last one is the European Union for HPC. This is the last of our European masters for high performance computing. Here we have 8 universities, leading by the University of Luxembourg. This is not an Erasmus Mundus, but it works pretty similar. Okay. The difference is that here you do the master 1 year in one of these universities and 1 year in another of the universities. So you choose the entry and exit year in their jargon, no? So when you enter and when you leave, and 1 year in each of these faculties. This is an H2020 program, and as such has a excellence label. Is a reference program in high performance computing in Europe. Okay. And it's also 120 ECTS. So the deadline is 15th of May, pretty soon in this one, okay? Again, it's mandatory mobility between 2 of the partners here. So you have here the link for further details. This one also provides consortium grants. And to my knowledge, you are still on time for this one to apply. So if you have doubts about the masters that you may, you can ask questions right after this presentation, but one way to ask for whatever procedural problem you may have, for example, what kind of document I need to attach here, what do I need to provide for this or that, just please write to info.masters. There our team of master people will ask you about all the administrative tasks. But sometimes you also have questions about the academic aspects. So you check the websites and you have questions. So this course, what is really like, or what I'm going to learn in this course, or if I take this master's, what kind of professional career I may have, or is this master appropriate with my background? These kind of questions you need to do it to the academic responsible of the master, okay? Because this is specific and you need someone who is specialized on that. So that's why I listed here all the academic coordinators. For my is Ulises Cortés, for May, BDMA or MDS is myself. For MIRI, it depends on the specialization, so advanced computing is Jordi Petit, graphics is Núria Pelechano, distributed systems is José María Barceló, and then for MIRI HPC and the U for HPC is Josep Llosa. I forgot to say, but U for PC is aligned with the MIRI HPC like BDMA and MDS are aligned as well. Okay, so typically when you have a European master, you have another one aligned locally. For the Master of Secundària, you need to contact Daniel Jimenez in this address. So I finished the big block of the presentation. Now, even if there are a few, you will see that there are a couple of slides for each of them. So what I want to let you know is that the price of the masters luckily went heavily down last year. So now we are May, MIRI, MDS, and MAI is 27 euros per ECTS. BDMA is way more expensive. This is set by European Union. Okay. So the prices for next year will be published in July. Okay. So we don't know them yet. But what we do know is that there is a strong commitment, and our government yesterday they were already putting some emphasis on this, that they still want to lower even more the price of the masters. This is something strategic, right? Because as you know, there is a huge gap of engineering profiles in the market. So they want to put the price to the minimum of whatever degree that you may take. So the cheapest degree is the bachelor's, and some of the bachelors that you can take here, you pay, roughly speaking, 18 euro per ECTS. So the commitment is that the masters will also reach there. So what I would expect is that this July, I'm expecting that the numbers go down. So it will go down below 27 euros per ECTS, but I don't think it will reach 17 in one year. So most probably it will take a couple or more to get there, okay? So I don't think it's going to be a one-step transition. From the internships, I've been talking about this a lot, no? So how do you formalize internships with the faculty? So there is a link explaining quite a lot of details. This is a snapshot from the link. Here you have information for the companies, for the students, and the regulations. And basically, when you do an internship through this, the company signs an agreement with the faculty so that when you go there, there are certain things that the company commits to do. The first thing is that there is a minimum price that the company needs to pay, okay? This is not a problem because our master students are typically, companies are looking and eager to get them, so they pay well, and this is not an issue. But also, if there were any problem during the internship, you are covered legally because UPC is signing at the other side. So if you are signing an internship, it's a good way to do. Also, it's a win-win for the company because signing this kind of internships, they pay very few taxes. So this is a win-win for everybody. Okay. So, sorry, I didn't want to click. So if you want to do internships, what you should take into account. Okay. So you can do it extracurricular or curricular. So it depends on the master. For example, for the Master of Data Science, internships are extracurricular always except for the master thesis. Only during the master thesis you can take curricular ECTS. Internship. For all the other masters, you can do curricular ones. It means that when you sign the internship, so you can claim later for elective ECTS. So this is the rule that you need to take into account. You cannot claim less than 6 ECTS. So the minimum you can claim is 6 ECTS, okay? And the thumb rule is 30 hours of work at the company is 1 ECTS, okay? So you just multiply 30 per 6, and this is the number of hours you need to do in an internship, and then you will be able to claim 6 ECTS, okay? The maximum is typically 12 ECTS, but it depends on the master as well, okay? But at least you can take 12 by internships. Regardless if you take 6 or 12 as elective, you can always, in all the masters, do the master thesis as curricular practices, in all the masters. And this is a side of the elective ECTS you took, okay? It's independent. If you do so, this is what we call modality B or D master thesis. Modality B is in a company, modality D is in a company abroad. So how many hours I can do in internships? Okay, we put a limit, right? Because you need also to follow the master. So the thing is that if the master has 90 ECTS, this is the case for May and May, you can do 900 hours per year, okay? And if, now 900 hours during the master. And if it's MIRI or MDS, which are 120 ECTS, then you can do 1200 hours, okay? On top of that, you can do the master thesis, eh? So this is during the studies, then you can do the master thesis on top of these numbers, okay? What if I have a working contract? I don't want to sign an internship through UPC. You still can claim for elective courses in most of our masters, okay? So what are the rules? This working experience needs to come before or during the master. So you can claim for ECTS if you had working experience before the master as well, okay? And the rule is here, 1600 hours per 6 credit. And if you go above this number, proportionally, okay? So just remember that when you are taking your masters, either via internships or working experience, you can claim elective courses in all the masters except for MDS, and in all of them, including MDS, for the master thesis. Okay. About mobility. So this is one of the strengths of our faculty and something that very few faculties out there can match, right? We have 189 agreements with 181 universities at the master level in 41 countries. So it means that you can go to study abroad for 1 or 2 semesters. So it depends on the master, right? For MIRI, you can go for 2 semesters. For MDS, you can go for 2 semesters. But for May and MARI, you can only go 1 because they are 90 ECTS. Okay. There are mobility programs. It means the easiest way to do mobility is that you follow one of these mobility programs. Mobility programs have dates where you apply, and if you are accepted, in most of them, you also get a scholarship. This scholarship will not cover expenses to go abroad, but it's a fair help that you may get. What kind of mobility programs do we have? the most popular that our students apply is to CERN, the organization in Switzerland. This is in summer. So from any of our masters, you can go there and spend an internship during summer in CERN with the Erasmus Plus framework. That sometimes you assume that Erasmus Plus is only for Europe. You can go abroad as well, beyond Europe with an Erasmus Plus mobility. We have mobility with Latin America, the States, and Canada, with the National Institute of Informatics in Tokyo, and also with China. So roughly speaking, you can go all over the world, okay? We also have double degrees with Pontificia Católica de Perú. This is only possible for May and May, and with Politecnico de Torino with MIRI, okay? You can also do an internship abroad. I was telling you that you can do the master thesis in modality D, which means an accompany abroad, right? So there are also frameworks that allow you to do a mobility for going to a company or doing an internship abroad. These are the frameworks. So Erasmus Plus also allows this kind of mobility. These frameworks as well open during the date, you apply, and if you get it, you move to a certain company that typically is behind the agreement, okay? And finally, other activities that you can take is mobility for certain activities. In our faculty, we participate in plenty of summer schools. Summer schools are during a week. Typically, people from companies or from academic perspective come and give talks of very specialized and very hot topics that are happening right now. No, it's just to get very deep into something with the community. People, typically the speakers here are reputed people in their areas. So summer schools is an option. The Google Summer Code Camp that is another option, and many similar others, okay? Just be aware through our website. If you go to mobility, this is the website, and you go to outgoing, because if you become one of our students, mobility for you obviously will be outgoing, right? And then you will have the mobility calendar. This is a very important link, because if you want to do mobility, you need to plan ahead, very well ahead. For example, to move most probably in 2 semesters, you need to start applying now, okay? The bad thing about mobility is very bureaucratic. There is a lot of red tape, okay? So be aware of it. So be aware not to miss any deadline, because if you miss a deadline, you're done. So you need to come here to this, to facilitate your life, no? The group and the people behind in internationals, what they are doing is basically keep in this link all the mobility deadlines that you need to be aware of, no? For example, when I took this snapshot from, so for 4th April to 19th April, there was the calls for the Google Summer of Code already open, or also the Erasmus Plus, Latin America, Canada, Russia, Taiwan, and China. So there was another call, right? So you need to be aware of them and do not miss them. Since this is quite a lot of information, and even our website is pretty complete, we have 2 information sessions about mobility per year. So these dates do not work for you, of course, because they have passed, but I put them here because you can consider them for next year. Next year, we will have a talk during the first semester, mid-November, and another one mid-February during the second semester. And if still you have doubts, we have an email address specific for mobility and internationalization, where you can ask whatever question you may have, okay? Personally, I would advise you to consider mobility. I think that this is an experience that it's interesting. Companies, organizations, research, everybody appreciates that you do mobility, that you live in another culture for a while, and you see how people work or research in another environment during a while, okay? Well, the next one is about grants. Our masters are pretty well reputed, and one of the things that happens is that our students, well, most of them do not finish the master without being working, no? So by the end of the master, we have a very high level of students working and studying at the same time. So one of the things that many companies offer just to lure students is grants and financial aid. These are grants that you can check always in this website. This is not updated yet, because typically to apply to these grants, you need to be accepted in a program, okay? So you are first accepted in a master, and then you apply to the grants. So we will be updating all this information in the next weeks, but this is the kind of grants that you will find there. We have grants coming from European consortiums like BDMA and EU for HPC, but also for companies. So we have companies like Entity Data, Seidor, Adevintia, that they are just offering grants. Just be aware of the small letters in this kind of grants. Companies typically ask you to take internships with them during the master, and if you don't do that, you lose the grant. So it's the counterpart. But then you also have other organizations that they do not ask for anything in exchange, like Fip Is or Fundació Maçó, that they give grants for students in certain aspects according to certain criteria that they set. Okay. One important thing about another important grant, which is the becas del ministerio, that you may have heard of them, right? If you are during the bachelor had a beca del ministerio, you also may have a beca del ministerio during the master. This is for Spanish citizens, okay? So foreigners cannot apply to this grant. But I put it here because it's important that you know that the procedure for this grant changed this year, okay? And heavily changed, so be careful with it. So what are the two things to be aware of? The deadline is very short this year. It finishes the 12th of May. So if you can apply to this grant, please do it. So the question that you may have is, how do I apply if I don't know what master I'm taking? Don't worry, because you don't need to know that. So the procedure now is that you apply and they check your grades of the bachelor, and also they check your financial background. And they tell you if you are okay or not, green light or red light for the grant. But at this moment, when applying before the 12th of May, you don't need to tell which master or where. So even if you don't know if you are going to do a master, apply. Because if you miss this deadline, later you cannot react. Okay? How does it work? If after applying the 12th of May, they check your grades, they check your financial background, and you are okay, in September, they will contact you saying, congratulations, you got the grant. What is the master you are going to follow? And at that moment, they ask you to say what is the master you are going to follow. Okay? And by that time, you need to be accepted in the master. So be aware how this procedure works, because it's pretty different to previous years. Do not miss it, please. And here you have a link and a video. UPC created a lot of materials because we fear that many students may lose this opportunity because we are not used to these early dates. Okay, so be careful with the deadline. Finally, another thing that I want to highlight is that our masters are strong in research and innovation, and this is not by chance. As I told you, UPC is the top university obtaining H2020 funds. H2020 are the European projects funded by the European Commission, typically very much into innovation, how to bring innovation and research into companies. And our university is leading in this aspect. So most of our lecturers participate in real projects with their companies. They are used to really hands-on experience, right? And this is transmitted to the lectures. Also, we are pretty dominant in the sector of startups, spin-offs, innovation and technology transfer. The other day I was checking that UPC is the leading university in Spain by their alumni creating startups of more than $1 million. $1 million. No, what is the amount? 100 million, I don't remember. The famous unicorns. You know what is a unicorn? Is a company that has a very high market value, right? I don't remember which is the market value now. But UPC was the leading university in Spain of this kind of startups. And we have a lot of offices related to innovation that you may check here, where you want also, you can even try to see if your startup idea can be worth. They help you to check these things from the SPY Empren UPC, is called. And then later, if you are interested, you can go to an incubator, but they help you in the first steps. Another thing to be proud of is the UP Center for Development of Cooperation. Is one of the biggest one in universities. Here is technical projects to help in development in second and third world countries, typically with mobility to other countries or from here. So one of the things that I always take the advantage to say here is that when you apply to a master, you need to be aware that on reaching certain levels of being demanding, you need to be appealing from your CV. What I'm saying, so when you are taking a master, don't take it like a bachelor. Don't take it like you are going to go there, just take your courses and go home. Do other things like research, work, apply to mobility, go to events that are happening in the community. Even if you go for a company, even if you go to a research institution, if you go for wherever, they like profiles with added value. Do not make the mistake to think that the marks are the only important thing. This is not true. If this were true, we don't need academic commissions to accept or reject people. We would have just an algorithm that's sorted by marks, cut, and that's it, right? So we really check that there is added value in what you do. So please consider really adding value there. And one of the things that are distinguishing this faculty to other ones out there is that research is very much in our DNA. The lecturers are participating in research groups that I'm listing here, the research groups, the areas, and you can see that we cover almost anything: mathematics, business administration, computer architecture, physics, services and information systems engineering, computer science, statistics and operational research, and automatic and robotics, right? How to do research? Typically, if you are taking a master and you like a course, talk to the lecturer, because most probably the lecturer is participating in a project and they need people, because we always need people. We are always with projects, new projects starting, and we need always people to participate here. How to formalize researching? By two means: with internships, like the ones I explained before, signing an internship between the faculty and the research group, or the other one, the most usual, most probably, is the research grants. They are grants meant for introducing you into the research, and all of them, of course, are paid. And here I will not go into detail, but I just want to show you how many research groups are at UPC. In things like mathematics, business administration, services and information, automatic control and robotics, computer architectures, physics, computer science, you can find whatever you like, okay? So we are researching whatever thing you can think or you can think of. And finally, last and not least, we have also a website to keep the university live, the community around the faculty. One of the things that I always like to highlight here is the student association. It's associations that they just cluster by interest, and they try to promote certain aspects, and they also take quite big approaches, like for example Hackup SA is organized by Hackers UPC, right, which is the biggest hackathon organized by students in Europe, or the Game Jam Barcelona, which is also organized by students. And there are plenty of things happening as well. So the hackathon during the La Marató de TV3, we have talks, events that are promoting certain aspects, for example, women in data science, the top secret courses, summer schools, plenty of them, okay? This is the one in big data management and analytics, but there are many others. Events on specific things, like for example, Industry 4.0, in this, which is this one is called Advanced Factories. We have Fip Is, which is an event that happens every week where students are put in contact with companies that they try to offer them interesting or professional opportunities. And in the end, just stay tuned by the website or the social networks to know what is happening, because a lot of things are happening. So take advantage of them. This is a very lively faculty, a very lively community. A lot of things are happening from the students, from the past, from the lecturers. So take advantage of it. And just to finalize, so some frequently asked questions. So what happens if you have not finished your undergraduate studies yet? This is not a problem at all, okay? You can apply, and then you are evaluated with the transcripts you have up to the moment. What we will ask you to do is that you finalize by September, so before starting the master. But even in that case, if for whatever reason you are finishing your bachelor in October, still you can apply and be accepted and start the master in time. But for this specific case in October, please contact us in info.masters, and we will inform you duly once we know what is your situation, okay? Can I work and study at the same time? Well, I've insisted a lot during the talk, no? Yes, of course you can do that. And we have means to do it via internships, then to recognize ECTS with your working experience or the internships. So this is, of course, a very interesting alternative. About the next academic year and COVID, we expect to be lecturing regularly, so we are already from a couple of weeks already without masks, and things are under control, and hopefully it will be the same next year, and we will be keeping this back to normal situation. One thing that COVID brought, a good one, is that enrollment is online, and it will stay like that. Okay, so if you are accepted in one of our programs, you will need to take the enrollment, the registration, for the next semester after you have secured your position. This happens the last week of July, on Monday. Okay. So, but if for whatever reason you are on holiday, you are abroad because you are not a citizen or whatever, it's not a problem. You can do it online. If you are a former UPC student, this is pretty simple because we can access to all your documents, and then that's fine. If you're not a UPC student and the Secretariat requires an additional original document to guarantee that you finish your bachelor and so on and so forth, what they typically do is that they inform you that when you can do the registration online, but when you come in September, you need to bring this document to the Secretariat, okay? Just to formalize, to fully finalize your registration. And that's it from my side, so I will stop here. You have here the email for the questions, and then now we will open a round of questions, first here in the audience of people here, but meanwhile, those online, you can write your questions in the chat. So after finishing answering the questions here, I will read your questions and answer them. So please start writing them as soon as you want. So let's start with people here. If you have questions, 1 second, we will bring the mic to you so people at home can hear you.
Hi, good afternoon. My question is, how likely is it to be accepted if you have a bachelor in physics, especially in the MIRI Master?
It depends on the master. So you're interested in MIRI?
Yeah, maybe in MIRI or I think that maybe in informatics engineering it's very unlikely, but maybe MIRI and data science, maybe it would be.
So artificial intelligence and data science, this is a regular entry. So we have a lot of people from physics in our masters, and this is pretty fine, right? So the only thing I would say is, depending on where you studied physics, if you...
UB.
Where?
In UB.
Okay. So typically this is fine then. The only thing I would say is that then if you are accepted in this master, it's good that you contact the coordinator, because starting, they can suggest you to take some courses to start stronger, because we go pretty fast and when the master starts from the computer science point of view. But our experience says that people coming from physics, they adapt very well to these masters, and this is not a big problem. For me, it depends on the specialization. So what may happen is that then once accepted, you are asked to take complementary courses. So do you have any specialization in mind?
For example, the one that you said that had applications on biophysics or on astrophysics, I think it was... High performance computing.
Yeah. So for this one, you require to know a lot about high-level computers and so on. I would say write an email to the... Let me put the name of the... Let me put again that slide with the emails here. So I would say write to Josep Llosa, to this email, and ask him what is your, and if you can attach your transcript so he can see the courses you took.
All right.
He can let you know if you can be accepted with some complementary courses or not at all, or what is the course situation.
All right, thank you very much. And one other question is how these complementary courses work. So they are part of elective subjects, or they are just a part?
They are additional. Right. So they are additional to the number of CTS of the master, and typically you will have some courses that you will not be allowed to take until you finish the complementary courses.
So they are simultaneously with the first courses or before?
You typically take them during the first semester.
All right.
And then from there on, what may happen is that you are not allowed to enroll a regular first semester course, and you need to leave it for the third semester. One thing that I forgot about FIB that it's important to know for those that you are not from FIB is that our courses, they are not offered every semester. So they are offered typically one semester, okay? But then typically what happens is that during the first semester you take the complementary course, and then in the third semester you take the course that you skipped.
All right, thank you.
Okay. More questions from the audience here? Yes.
Good afternoon. Thanks for the presentation. It was very useful to clarify some questions that I have. But I have a specific one, is that imagine that now I'm working in a company. Can I propose this company to do the practicals, the internship? It's possible?
Yes, of course. So it depends on what you want to do. You can start. You can keep the working contract you have up to now, or you can decide that this company signs an internship with the faculty. This is fine. So this is something that at any moment you can decide to go for.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Any other question?
Yeah, a couple of questions, but I think are a little bit personal, so I'll wait.
You can ask me afterwards if you want. No problem. So any further question? So let's move to the online people then. Let's go to these questions online. So I will start reading them and then answering them. So the first one is from Josep Martí. It says, will we have the slides available online? If so, where? Yes, we will. So these slides will appear in the masters.upc.edu. In each of the masters, we will add there a sentence where you will have an access link, a direct link to the slides and also to the video, okay, that we are recording. So yes, you will find them there. If you don't find it for whatever, just write to info.masters and we will point you to where to find all this information, okay? Javier Benitez is asking, how about MIRI in computing graphics and virtual reality coming from telecom engineering? Telecom engineering in general, this is, so in general, these bachelors endorse you with good skills from the computer science side, but nevertheless, if you want to be fully sure, just write to Nuria Pelechano, you have the email here, and ask her specifically. I would suggest, Javier, that you attach your transcripts so she can see exactly what courses you took. Maybe in some cases she will ask you to take some complementary courses, but I think that in general, I would say that telecom engineering should not be a problem to any of our masters. And the next one is Pau Comas. Can you repeat the differences of mobility options with the different masters? Do you explain about going out 1 or 2 semesters was possible depending on the master? Yes, of course. Let me... Mobility is ahead. So this is the conditions that I wrote here. So depending on the master, you may spend 1 or 2 semesters. This depends if the master is 90 or 120 CTS. So for 90 CTS, like May and Mai, you can only move for 1 semester, so 30 CTS, okay? For MIRI and MDS, you can move 2 semesters, okay? So typically you move in the last semester for May and Mai, and for MIRI and MDS in the last year. So because as I told you, mobility has a lot of red tape, it's bureaucratic, so you need some time to do it. So it's impossible to do it. Well, it's completely impossible to do it in the first semester, unlikely in the second, right? I don't know if there was any further question in your is that what you asked, Pau? Did I answer? Yes? Okay. Let's move then to the next question. It's from Anna Sayes. I saw on the webpage that for Mai you give priority to students that come from a computer science or mathematical bachelor. To what extent do we stand a chance of admission if we have a different background? For example, in my case, I have a double degree, physics and industrial engineering at UPC. Am I still eligible for this master or will I be rejected because of my profile doesn't match the necessary requirements? No, you will not be rejected. So physics is a natural entry for the Master of Data Science and the Master in Artificial Intelligence. So these are the 2 masters that acknowledge other kinds of backgrounds. And with physics and industrial engineering, you will have a very strong mathematical background, so you are very well covered there. So the commission might check your computer science background, but typically also physics, and in physics engineering you also get familiar with the basics of programming and so on. So you for sure you will not be rejected because of that. Then it will depend of the specificities of your curriculum, but if you have doubt, I insist the best thing is that you write to the responsible, in this case is Ulises Cortés, and you can ask him a bit more in detail. But in your case, I would say with physics, you are in the pool. You will not be rejected for sure. Okay. Manel Gomez is asking, is there any problem to apply to the Master of Data Science with a Bachelor in Economics? Economics is not a natural entry. So if you come from, so we have had students from economics in our Master, but typically when they took additional studies afterwards, like another short Master or some courses where they deepen especially their knowledge in computer science. Just realize that our Masters, both in artificial intelligence and data science, they go pretty fast at the beginning and they expect a good level of computer science. They have, the Master in Data Science have a course to let you leverage in data structures, algorithms and databases. It's called ADSDB, and it's from the first semester. But be careful because this course is quite demanding and it would be good to be prepared. So what the Commission will check is that beyond your degree in economics, you have some additional courses that depend in computer science, assuming that your degree is giving you a good background in mathematics, statistics, mathematics, calculus, and algebra. Maria Velez is asking, for international students, are there any UPC scholarships available? Yes. So the only one that is not available for you is the one from the Spanish ministry. But the others, all these ones from the companies and the ones from the organizations and even from the master consortiums, you can apply for them. You don't need to be a Spanish citizen. For the only one is for this one, from Beca del Ministerio. Okay, which is the Spanish ministry, and it's for Spanish citizens. Okay, Maria? Armando Rodriguez is asking, it's less likely that you will be selected in a master when applying in the second period? No. For all the masters, we kept positions for the second period. For all the masters, including the artificial intelligence master. So no, if you have a good curriculum, you are likely to be selected like in the first one. The first period is meant specifically for people from abroad that may need to ask for a visa, so this is to facilitate their lives, okay? But none of our masters is closed right now. All of them have available seats for the second round. Javier Pita, is recommendation letter mandatory document for master's pre-enrollment? It does not appear in the required documents, but it does in the selection criteria. So it's something that doesn't hurt you, right? So if you can write some, if you can get some recommendation letters, just add them to your application. You will always see that you can always add new other documents than the ones that you are asked for. So if you have recommendation letters, for sure, add them, okay? These are evidences that might be interesting for the Commission, and of course, do that. Miguel is asking, do medical doctors have any chance of being admitted to Master of Data Science or Master of Artificial Intelligence? This question is popping up a lot lately, no? I think that these two worlds are colliding, and this is a question that is rising. The truth is that you need to show that you have enough computer science background to follow these two masters, okay, Miguel? So in principle, you are not the natural entry, but you are not automatically rejected. What we would check here is that basically you have enough background to follow these masters. If you have the doubt, again, as I said before, I will go to the slide here. You can just contact me for the Master of Data Science or Ulises Cortés for the Master in Artificial Intelligence, and let us know exactly what is your background, and we can be of more detail when answering you. Emilio Mendiola is asking, is studying part-time possible in the programs, in particular in the MA? Good question, because I forgot to say that. Yes, in all the programs, all of them allow part-time students. When you are a part-time student, you must enroll at most, and at least, I think that both things, so 18 ECTS per semester, okay? So then you have an extra semester to finish the master. So if you are applying to a master of 2 years and then you go part-time, you have 2 years and a half. Okay? If it's a master of 1 year and a half, then you have 2 years. But all of them accept part-time students. If you want to be a part-time student, when you enroll, you need to specify it. So contact info.masters and specify them that this is the case, after acceptance, of course. And then they will inform you how to do it, but it's at the enrollment moment that you need to specify this, and at most enroll 18 ECTS, okay? And then extra semester guaranteed. Feki Nesrine is asking, I want to ask about the document that proves my English language. Can I ask my English teacher of university to write a document? No. You need a formal certificate, okay? This is something that a person cannot certify. So you need to go for any of the usual ways. Either you go to an exam that shows your proficiency, or you prove that you took a bachelor in English, or that you are a native English speaker. These are the three, I think that there is no other, right? No. So these are the 3 ways to guarantee your proficiency in English, okay? Christian Fernandez is asking, if we are still finishing our bachelors, what documentation do we have to provide on the enrollment instead of the diploma? Instead of the diploma, just put your transcripts, your current transcripts. So that's it. Or just put a document saying, I'm not finished, I provide the transcripts, and the diploma will be due by whenever you are planned to finish. Okay, so this is an usual procedure, and many of our applicants didn't finish the bachelor, so that's fine. Any further question? Or from the audience here, if you have any further? No? Okay, so then we are done. And thank you very much for being here, for attending this session. Thank you for your interest in our masters. Hope it was interesting and clarifying. Just remember that you have here the contact information for the academic and the administrative staff. And also I'm the face in front of the masters, but there is a big team of people behind that help me a lot with all these things. And so also thank you for them for facilitating my life. And in case you have any doubt, please drop us an email or check our slides and videos that we will make public in the next week. And that's it. Thank you again, and hopefully see you in September. Bye.